Hi, I'm Josiah.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And this is Worth Watching. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
You know what you're gonna get. They write it right on the box.
Life is not at all like a box of chocolates.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Worth Watching. Today we're reviewing Forrest Gump, starring Tom Hanks.
Now, the reason we're reviewing this movie today is because this is the 20th anniversary and also the IMAX re-release of Forrest Gump. I know that I touched really briefly on this movie in an old episode of Worth Watching Wednesdays, but we are giving it a proper review today for this episode of Worth Watching. So, you probably already know the plot is. The plot is there is a guy named Forrest Gump. He is the most heartfelt, honest person in the world, but he's a little slow mentally. His IQ is 75. And through a series of unlikely circumstances, he ends up becoming one of the most famous people in the world and runs into all sorts of famous people, fights in the Vietnam War, meets multiple presidents, and is overall just a part of and helps create a lot of really influential moments throughout history.
So one thing I really liked in this movie was the plot. I thought the story was great, and I loved everything that happened in the movie, and I especially loved when they put, like, pop culture references in there, especially when they did Elvis and how that Tom Hanks was the one who taught Elvis how to dance. I thought that was hilarious.
And that's one of the things about this movie that just makes it so great, is that it's got this really unique plot, really great characters, and it's just this really honest, heartfelt, and yes, sometimes a little bit sappy, feel-good movie. And you really don't get good feel-good movies anymore. I haven't seen one come out in like the last 15 years that's not on the Hallmark Channel. And this movie does it so well, and they really, when you're watching this movie, every second of the way through, you're just thinking, they really don't make movies like this anymore. Because they don't. Forrest Gump is one of a kind, and it just works so well on a number of levels. It's entertaining to watch for all of the fun little pop culture references and celebrity cameo stuff like that that they have in there. And it's also just a really great, emotionally uplifting movie to watch and just go, wow, this is a really great story and really great plot, and it's executed absolutely perfectly.
So I really liked Tom Hanks in this movie. I don't think any other actor could have played Forrest Gump. I think he fit it perfectly, and especially when he did like the accent of him stuttering and stuff, I think he did that perfectly. Yeah,
and the character of Forrest is just so great. Again, I mentioned this in the Worth Watching Wednesdays episode about this. He's just such an honest, earnest person, and the only thing he ever wants to do is just make life better for everybody. Like, he's such a great guy, and you can instantly tell whatever he's thinking and feeling because he's really open and honest about everything. He doesn't know any other way to communicate with people other than to just be himself all the time. And it's such this great character that you never get to see represented in any other movie, and it works so well in this movie. It makes you just instantly fall in love with his character because he's such a great guy and a really unique character that you can really get behind.
And apparently he's magic, because he barely ages throughout this whole movie, except for when he's a little boy. But other than that, they barely age him at all, compared to the other characters who, like the girl, they age a lot, but he was barely aged. And I thought he barely looked older at the end of the movie.
Something this movie does do really well, though, is just the visual effects of this film are absolutely incredible, especially given the fact that this movie came out 20 years ago. I mean, you have Forrest Gump interacting with all of these really famous people. They took archive footage of those people and put Tom Hanks into it and things like that, and it still holds up for the most part really, really well, and there's a lot of stuff in here. I mean, you have Lieutenant Dan's legs, which are, removed via digital masking and things like that. Stuff that was really groundbreaking at the time and still holds up extraordinarily well today. And again, just to give testament to how great this movie is at just being a really good, feel-good movie, it's not many movies that could end with the death of one of the main characters and still leave you feeling happy at the end of it. If a movie can do that, it worked pretty darn well.
So on a scale of A through F, what would you give this movie?
You probably already know, I'm giving this an A. It's one of my favorite movies from the 90s. It's a great Robert Zemeckis film. It's just absolutely wonderful. And you gotta go into it with the sort of innocence when you watch it, because if you're going in as this really jaded person, it's gonna seem really sappy and saccharine and stuff, but what it really is just a very emotionally honest movie that makes you just look at life a little differently and appreciate things more. What would you rate it?
I'd give it an A, a low A, but I'd give it an A because it's a classic. It's great. Thanks for watching this episode of Worth Watching.
Remember to like the video if you like it, comment down below on your thoughts on Forrest Gump, and of course subscribe if you want to see more. Bye.